What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it. All right, we are back. It is another victory edition of the Dan Russo Show presented by the Red and Gray Gridiron Group and Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm your host, Kyle Bennett, and joining me like he does each and every week, my co-host and namesake of the show, Vineland High School football head coach, Dan Russo. Coach, congrats on the win last week. How are we feeling after two straight victories for this Vineland football team?
Yeah, it feels great. That's why you do it, put all those hours to win games. So the priority, like I said last week, was to win the game. And Clearview gave us all they had. Their backs were against the wall. You know, they were 0-2 with their first home game. And, you know, it wasn't easy. They play a different brand of football. You know, it's some of that run game. They run, wing T stuff and some big linemen. And they were just trying to run clock and keep us off the field. And even throwing a few onside kicks, but we made some adjustments at halftime, and the kids handled adversity well. We were down by a point and came out in the third quarter, and I really took it to them, and I was real proud of the kids. They played a great game, minimized our mental mistakes, played hard, and played with high energy.
Yeah, it was impressive to watch. You know, this game against Clearview was the first time the defense had surrendered any points, so I was intrigued to kind of just see how that response would be from those guys. And like you said, down 1 point at halftime, you come out. What were some of those adjustments and, you know, the message from you and your staff at halftime to kind of just refocus, readjust, and not really push the panic button? Because like you said, Clearview was giving it all they had, but you guys were still very much in the game. You started off with a big interception, returned for a touchdown on the first play of the game by Xavier Diaz, who will be joining us later in the show. But what was kind of the message at halftime to kind of stay focused, not really lose too much sight of the task that was at hand, like you mentioned on last week's show, which is to go in and win that game, and to kind of just, you know, stay cool, calm, and collected and go out and play your guys' brand of football?
In the first half, you know, offense didn't get many opportunities because obviously Xavier had a pick six, and then they had a long drive where they're running clock. They like to run the ball. Then we had a turnover, two turnovers with the onside kick, and then the fumble, you know, by the quarterback. And you know, it was before you know it, we're at halftime. You know, when teams play that kind of offense, the clock runs a lot. So offensively, you know, we seem to be passing a little bit more than usual in the first half. Then offensive coordinator made a decision to run the ball more in the second half, and it worked well for us. Defensively, a few adjustments. Our linebackers were out of position. They were getting walled off and just not lining up correctly, so that hurt us as well. I've never seen a team kick that many onside kicks since I've been the coach here. So at halftime, what we did is we put six wide receivers and quarterback and running backs and all the skilled out in the front line and the sixth guy. So it was like I think we were 6-3-2, and they still kicked it. And Tank got it. I was telling the guys at halftime, you could even fair catch that if you wanted. But Tank decided to, run it, and he got 5 yards or so. And I was kind of on the officials because I felt like they hit him 5 yards out of bounds. Like he was out, they hit him, another guy came in, and I was open for another 15. So, yeah, I'll take the ball in the 50. They want to give us a short field, and, you know, they did, and offense was able to take advantage of it, and then the defense tightened up. And I'm not even sure if they got a first down in the second half. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, I'd have to check that
If they
because
did, it was minimal. It was one or two, but it wasn't many.
right.
And, Defense locked them down. Coach Hendricks made some adjustments, and the kids finished out. They played tough. 21 points in the second half, and 0 for Clearview, and we were able to win the game.
Yeah, and I think coming out of halftime and seeing that initial adjustment, like you mentioned, putting a quote unquote a whole full blown hands team out there, knowing that they had
Yeah,
been kicking onside kicks for a majority of the game. I felt like that was the big momentum shift where it was like, boom, here's an instant adjustment that you guys made coming out of the locker room. And that kind of shifted things to where you caught on to what they were doing and you were, just ready to rock and roll coming out of halftime. And then you see everything that goes down in the third and fourth quarter. You guys put up your most points in a game this season with 34. The defense contributes to that again. And I think just the way that the offense was able to kind of, overcome in the first half, Clearview's offense being able to go down and score. Offense stayed composed. They were able to go out there and, when the defense makes that stop initially, when you guys are up, I believe it was 20-14, and then the offense is able to go down, score again, go up 2 scores. That was kind of, okay, the ball's in our court. This is our chance to really take advantage of the situation we're in. And then you get that final touchdown at the end to make it 34-14. I think overall, this game to me for you guys through the first 3 games of the year was just really a brilliant display of composure, not getting, too worried, not hitting the panic button, even when you were facing adversity with, some turnovers, the onside kicks, the defense finally, giving up some points and being able to bounce back from that. I think it was a brilliant display of just, composure and, lack of not having to panic even when things weren't initially going your way.
yeah. Like I said, they gave us everything they had. They're big up front, as you know. The one tackle, 65. He's going to University of Cincinnati, and he was very good. They had some other big linemen that were good, and the quarterback was adequate. And they had some tough running backs. They played good defense, and their special teams in the beginning, kind of kept them in the game with the onside kick. But like you said, like we discussed, we made the adjustment, and it was good for us. It was a tough environment. There was packed house. They had their feeder program there. The grass was extremely high, so that was an advantage for them. It's tough for our guys, any team with a lot of speed, to play on a field like that. But like I said, the kids had a lot of adversity and they worked through it, and were able to pull out a big win.
Yeah, so you guys now on a 2-game winning streak, improved to 2-1 on the year, have a big matchup this week. But what's the environment at practice been like? On a 2-game winning streak. I know after wins when we've done this show in the past, you say the vibes at practice have been great, but 2 straight wins now, something you guys weren't able to accomplish last year. What's kind of the energy around everybody? Feeling good about the way you're playing, but not getting, too complacent, kind of stuck in, that mode of, yes, we won, but still being able to look forward to the next opponent and knowing that you still have work to accomplish.
Yeah, speaking about last year, I was looking on my phone while I was talking to you. I think we lost them by 4 last year. Does that sound right?
I think so.
Approximately. So I was happy that we were able to add a plus 24 from 1 year. So 2 games in a row, we've avenged some losses. And, my position, you look at progress, and I feel like the kids have put the work in and the staff to get the right kids in here, and the culture's right. And they're on the same page. It's a tight group, but nothing better than winning. And, like I said, we're a plus 24 in 1 year. That's impressive. So, they're practicing hard. They're on, doing everything that's required. We're going to go to Gatone tonight again. I think getting to Gatone is good for us at least once a week. Beautiful facility, as we discussed in the past, and they get used to the lights and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it's been great. Everybody's high energy, and we're looking to go out there Friday night and compete against the defending Group 5 sectional champion in Kingsway. Have a lot of respect for Coach Hendricks over there. He's done a great job. They're well coached. They don't make mistakes. We've never actually played Kingsway since I've been here, so I'm looking forward to playing a different team. Haven't even scrimmaged them, so I know Vineland's played them in the past, but the last 10 years I've been here, we have not. So we're going to get to play them 2 years in a row. So we have a real nice facility in Citadel. They just got turf as well. So our JV and freshman team will get to try that out at their place because when you're home, the JV freshmen play at the opposite, field. So your opponent, when you're home, they host the JV and freshman games. So it should be a good matchup. They've got some really good players, and so do we. And they're coached well, and so are our guys. So I'm looking forward to a great game Friday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Friday night's game. And I think one thing, too, that stuck out from last week's episode when we had, Tayshaun Newman on in our first, MVP interview of the episode, he mentioned that a lot of people have tried to say, like, last year's team and this year's team, try to compare them a lot. And I totally agreed with him where last year's team versus this year's team, it's two completely different teams. There's obviously returning players, but that doesn't mean you're going to be rolling the same squad out there. And there's a different energy. There's a different, tenacity about this team this year. And not to say that last year's team didn't have talent, but it feels like in all three phases this year for, this football team, it's working as a well-oiled machine. It's not, here's the offense, here's the defense, here's the special teams. It seems like all three phases are kind of working together, and a lot of people are gonna, try to put that square peg in a round hole and try to assume that, 2021 Vineland High School football is pretty similar to 2022 when in fact they're very different teams. You guys are putting points on the board offensively and defensively, and the defense has been able to step up in big ways and has only surrendered 14 points all season through 3 games, which is incredibly impressive at any level. So I think people trying to assume that these two teams from last year to this year are, the same, quote unquote, is just a bad misconstruction of talent and viewing of talent that is on this team and just the way that this roster in 2022 has been able to play through the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, last year, some of these close games in the beginning we lost, like Clearview we lost, and Hamilton was a close one. We win those 2 games, it's a different season. But then we had some catastrophic injuries and some other off-the-field issues. It wasn't a good situation. But, it's football. Things happen. You got to handle adversity. And like you said, it's a different group. They've had some success now the last 2 weeks as far as, winning the games. And once you get a taste of winning, you want it more, so you work harder, know how it feels. So these kids know how it feels, and they practice hard and work hard, and they're doing what it takes to win these games.
Yeah, it's been incredibly impressive to watch. And like we started last week, we had our MVPs of the game on the show last week. We've got 2 MVPs this week. So, Coach, why don't we roll out our first MVP? We're going to have Xavion Diaz join us on this episode and Emmanuel Develis. Very excited to have these two on the program this week. They had fantastic games against Clearview. Like we mentioned, Xavion had that interception return for a touchdown, and Emmanuel has just been an absolute force on offense, on defense at that tackle position, and just wreaking havoc in the trenches, which is how you win football games. It starts and ends in the trenches, and they've both been off to fantastic starts to 2022. Just talk about, before we bring them in, what you saw from them against Clearview and how impressive they've been so far this season in their positions they've been playing.
Yeah, we'll bring Xavion in first. So I'll discuss Xavion if that's all right with you.
Totally.
Xavion, got us started there with that big pick 6. It was not only an unbelievable catch, but it was a great run after. And I was so proud of the kids for not doing any type of illegal block, as I saw Xavion running and I felt he was going to make it in the end zone. The thing I kept looking for was a flag. And I'm thinking, please, guys, just don't hit anybody, because the rules have changed so much from when these kids were younger. You can't really hit them if they have nothing to do with the play, and you have to kind of fully extend your arms and have line of sight. So that's the one thing I was looking for. And then I was so relieved that, the kids didn't make any penalties, because in our first scrimmage against Williamstown, we had one of those, and somebody hit another player and it had nothing to do with the play, so they called it back. So I was so happy that it worked out. He played tough all game on defense, and then he did a much better job fielding punts. As I mentioned last week on our show, I felt like being out at Gatone at night contributed to that. He feels more comfortable catching the ball in the daylight's different than catching the ball at night with those shiny lights on you. So I think he adjusted well and had some really good punt returns and almost broke a few of those and got touchdowns. And he almost had another pick too. If I feel like it might have been Nakai didn't run into him. So he did a hell of a job, and he's only a sophomore. I'm assuming he's 15 years old, like most of the sophomores are, and he's a special talent. He's just going to get better every year. We've got a lot of talented sophomores right now playing varsity. Probably more than we've had in a long time, but they're holding their own and they're doing a good job. And for the most part, they're key players, not role players. So they're doing their jobs, they're pulling their weight, and they're making plays for this program, so we can win games. So I'll bring him in now if that's all right.
Absolutely, let's bring him on in.
All right, we're going to trade seats.
All right, now we bring in defensive MVP Xavion Diaz from the Clearview matchup. Xavion, welcome to the Dan Russo Show. Congrats on the pick 6, and congrats on the win, obviously. But first things first, I always talk about it when we're up in the booth, myself and Rich Scarpa. You were part of that crop of freshmen that came up to varsity in a rare instance for Vineland High School football under Coach Russo, where not a lot of freshmen get called up to varsity right away. So you kind of got your feet wet last year, and you've been able to kind of take that jump to the next step this year. What's been, the biggest and most intriguing and fun adjustment for you this year, taking on some new roles, obviously playing primarily on the defensive side of the ball this year and now having that punt return role? What's that adjustment been like for you, and how fun is it being back there, being able to be a punt returner?
Punt return, I just like to have the ball in my hands. Every time I get the ball, I think of scoring. And then last year I played corner. I think I could get more plays at safety. So I feel like I can help the team more at safety.
And then obviously, being on this team last year, getting that call up, what's the energy on this defense like this year? It feels like there's a toughness, a tenacity about them under Coach Hendricks now. What's been that new adjustment to having a new defensive coordinator, and how enjoyable is it playing for him?
We adjusted good. We wanna win games. He won a Super Bowl, so we just wanna we look up to him. Want to do the same things he did.
And I always talk about football wise, things start in the trenches. Last week against Bridgeton, you guys got Derek Akami back, and talking to Tayshaun, talking to Gavin, Derek's energy is next level, and having been around him for the past couple of years, you can kind of it just feeds off of him, and you guys can feed off of the energy he brings. What's his leadership been like this year now that he's a senior, and being around him and being in the locker room, being in the huddle? What's it like having Derek back out there full time for you guys now that he's back?
He's a great leader. He tells us be disciplined. He tells us make a hit every play, make a play every play.
And then for you guys to be on this win streak, obviously the goal is to win every single week for you guys, but to finally piece together 2 in a row, unlike last year, what's the energy and the vibe at practice been like, knowing that you guys are coming off 2 straight wins now? Does it kind of feel looser in a sense to where you're not putting as much weight and pressure on your shoulders, knowing that you're not waiting for that first win, and now that not only how to win as a team, but now how to string together, a couple wins in a row as a team? What's practice been like this week going up into a matchup against Kingsway?
Every practice, we work as hard as we can. We just want we gotta work hard so we can win.
And knowing that you guys, on the defensive side of things, there's a mix of veteran leadership with some seniors and juniors, and then there's that young influx like yourself, like Bryce, and a bunch of younger guys on this defense. how do you guys work, together to kind of be on that same page? What's the communication like in practice leading into, that pregame locker room, and then out on the field when you guys are out there making plays and playing as tough as you have this year, only surrendering those 14 points all year that you did against Clearview? What's the, communication lines like for you guys, from underclassmen to upperclassmen to kind of just be on the same page?
We're like family. It's the same good communication.
And then, going up against Kingsway this week, a team that, Coach Russo just mentioned, you guys haven't played them under his regime yet, so it's a team that's kind of unfamiliar to Vineland football fans. What are some things you guys have been able to pick up, watching film this week to prepare for a team that you really haven't seen too much, and, some things that you've noticed from the positions you play that you're going to try to, go in and make that a point of emphasis to exploit your game and make sure that, you're making them make some mistakes?
They got better athletes than teams we played before, but I think we can stop them. Our defense.
And then, take me through what was going through your head that first play against Clearview. Ball goes into your hands, you run it back for that pick six. Just take me through that process of events and everything going through your mind to make sure, you're keeping things clean. Like Coach Russo said, everybody behind you keeping things clean so no flags get thrown. But what was that, sequence like for you, running it back for the touchdown, and then just that energy level to kick the game off with such a big explosive play?
I think they tried to catch us off guard with a pass. I didn't really think they were going to pass it, but I just read it, took it to the end zone. We were all hyped.
And then last one for you before we bring Coach Russo back in. I asked all three guys last week, NFL, college, I'm sure you're a fan of the game at all levels. Is there any player that you try to model your game after and, try to use some different things that you see them doing in games, whether it's at the college level, at the NFL level, or even, some of your teammates in practice that you might pick some things from?
I like Minka Fitzpatrick. He's a ball hawk. I play like him. I watch him a lot.
I like that answer. Minka's a beast. You're certainly one of my favorite players to watch on this Vineland team, so keep doing your thing, and looking forward to you making big plays against Kingsway and the rest of this season, my man.
All right, thanks.
He's a ball hawk, Coach.
Yeah, he is. And he's just going to get better. He's very mature for his age, and he's developing nice, and we're happy he's here playing for Vineland.
And, to see a player like Xavion and that crop of, freshmen that got called up last year, Charles, Clark, Bryce, there's a big group of them that got called up all together. And like I mentioned to Xavion, it's rare that you guys have called up freshmen to play at the varsity level unless they've kind of had that it factor right away. To see what Xavion was able to do last year and improve his game over the offseason and into the summer, and now 3 games into this year, how impressive has his growth been from your perspective as a coach?
Yeah, very impressive. Another one that gets really good grades in school. He does everything we ask. I don't think I've been called by a teacher or administrator once. His behavior is perfect. He's got no write-ups. That's the kind of kids we want here. Kids that understand what we're trying to accomplish and no distractions. None of us have time to waste. We just, that's the one thing we can't get back is time, and we need to focus on what's important, and that's obviously your family, academics, football, and obviously faith. So kids are doing what we ask, and like I said, real happy with this group. They're a fun group to coach. They're getting better every week, and it's a good mix.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun through 3 weeks seeing just the energy that they have, and it's a word I know I've used a lot on this episode and throughout the year so far, but they have that energy. They are always going at 110%. They leave it all out on the field, and they're making sure that they're playing as close to disciplined football and not making those silly undisciplined mistakes throughout each game in all 3 phases. For the last 2 weeks, I've brought this up to some of the players too, but from your coaching perspective, to see the way that Derek Akami has been out there making his presence felt, kind of being a force along that defensive line, and the way he's been able to step up, at least from our perspective looking in, as a leader on that defense. what's it been like kind of just seeing his growth, going into his senior year now, 2 games in, for Derek being on that defensive unit and just the havoc he's been able to wreak out on the field, and then, him stepping up as a leader this year as a senior.
Yeah, our defensive front has done a nice job. Got Emmanuel, we got Jordan Bennett helping us out, Akami, Julio. Even was able to convince a basketball player. We call him Jerry Sodi. It's Ala Ufia, possibly. I'm going to pronounce. I like just saying Jerry. He goes by Jerry, but he's a great kid. He's very athletic. Patrick Gilbert's contributed too with the on the D line. Obviously Newman on the edge. So we've got a good rotation in there, and they're just going to keep getting better. Backers struggled a little bit last week, but they're going to fix things, and they'll be back in the mix. The corner stepped up. Powell, DJ Clark, Ryan Maven, Xavion back there, Hitchens, and Nakai Gray. Max Preps was updated. He's on there, and I guess you guys usually come on the field. We didn't see it. Jimmy had that roster for you.
Gotcha.
34 is Nakai Gray, and 23 is Ulibo Klaus. And they're doing a great job, too. They're both seniors. Nakai played his freshman, sophomore year, didn't play his junior year, just, coming out of all the COVID stuff. He just needed a break and wanted to get his mind right and everything, and he's back with us. So he's doing great. And Ulibo's from the UK, played rugby, and now he's playing football for us. So he's on kickoff. He's contributing already. He's a great kid. And, we're excited to see him develop as well. So we've got a lot of guys rotating in. We're rotating linebackers. Gallo and Russo in there playing backer. Bryce Wilson as well. Giving guys a breather when they need it, especially when you're playing like that type of offense. It's just like smash mouth football. So thanks to our depth, I think it helped us in the second half rotating guys in, and with good rotation going. Our guys were fresh, and they didn't do much the second half. And offensively, offense, like you mentioned, is getting way better. Quarterback settled down a little bit. He's got a much better offensive line in front of him. He's getting some time to actually make some plays this year as opposed to last year. Running backs have gotten stronger. We have 3 guys we feel can help us in the run game. We've got a lot of good receivers and skilled players. So, it's starting to come together.
Yeah, the offense, it's certainly clicked in a lot of phases, and I think, like you mentioned, having the improvements along the offensive line have been a huge help for Danny and a huge help for the running backs as well. It's allowed you guys to get a little more creative offensively and, kind of open up that playbook even more for the skill position players, for Danny to kind of sling the ball around like we know he can. And it opens up lanes for the running backs to kind of hit those holes, get around the outside if they need to. And I think the offense has just looked a lot more fluid than it has in years past because of that improvement in the trenches, like we mentioned. That's where it starts and finishes, both on the offense and the defense. You need strong play on the defensive and offensive lines if you want to be a successful football team. And earlier this year, you brought up, Emmanuel DeVellis. You challenged him. You said, hey, do you want to win this year? And he said yes, and he started to play some tackle on the offensive side of things. How is that, adjustment for him in your perspective been through 3 weeks now, kind of getting some gameplay under his belt, playing on that offensive line while still rotating and playing on that defensive line as well?
Yeah, it was a big ask for a player that primarily played defense, and now he's helping us out on the offensive line as well. But he stepped up, and he's doing a great job. And he had a huge task last week playing against, their big Division I tackle, 65, and Manny held his own with him. I saw some film on him, so it was a pretty good battle. They're both about 6'5". I'm sure the other guy was closer to 300. Manny's about 250, and Manny was holding his own, blocking him, trying to make plays on defense, getting away from him. So I was real proud of him, and that's part of the reason I gave him the offensive MVP this week, not only for his performance, but for his sacrifice and doing what's best for the team. As you could tell, the last 2 weeks has been an offensive lineman. They don't get as much press as all the flashy positions that people think, as far as guys scoring touchdowns and running the ball, catching passes, throwing passes. So the least I could do is get them some exposure here with our podcast and give them what they deserve, because sometimes it's, fortunately it's a thankless job for them. No one's saying, "Oh, great block," or "He's blocking a guy that's going to the University of Cincinnati," things of that nature. So that's why I want to bring attention to it. And, you can't do anything offensively or really defensively if you don't have those guys in the trenches. And we've got some good ones that are making sacrifices for the team. Manny could be a great tight end, but we need him at tackle, so he's playing tackle for us. And things like this I'll never forget in my coaching tenure here, guys that have made sacrifices like Emmanuel. So that's something I make sure I tell the scouts, and that's why they like to hear that we have a Division I athlete here that's selfless. Doesn't matter what it takes. He just wants to win for his teammates and the program, and I'm real proud of him.
Yeah, he's done a spectacular job. It's been impressive to kind of just watch his development from the booth and being able to, kind of go back and watch it on YouTube as well from the rebroadcasts of the games, and, kind of just see him develop game by game on the offensive side of things, and obviously still being a force out there on the defensive line. He's really stepped up in a big way for you guys, and no matter, what the opponent is or who he's matched up against, he's always willing to go out there and, give it 120%, and he's always going to, give it his all. And he certainly did that last week against Clearview, and I'm sure it's going to continue against Kingsway.
Yeah, no doubt. He's one of our key players here, and he's making plays, and he's going to continue to make plays. And, he's looking forward, and so are the guys, of competing Friday night right before our bye week, and give the home fans a great, entertaining game to watch.
Yeah, so I think perfect way to tee it up to bring in Manny DeVellis into the fold here on the Dan Russo Show as the offensive MVP against Clearview. Fantastic performance, like Coach Russo said, playing up against a player going to the University of Cincinnati, D1, a team that was in the college football playoff last year, and Manny held his own, so I'm excited to chop it up here with our offensive MVP, Coach.
Gotcha. I'm going to get him right now. Trading chairs again. All right, you're up.
So now we have our offensive MVP, one of my favorite players to call up in the booth, Emmanuel DeVellis, doing big things on both sides of the ball this year. First things first, congrats on a phenomenal performance against a big-time opponent in Clearview. But talk to me first, Emmanuel, what has this transition been like for you to kind of playing both sides of the ball this year, playing that offensive tackle position? What have some of the adjustments been like for you? And as the season's gone on now, 3 weeks in, how much, easier has it gotten for you to kind of adjust to playing both sides of the ball?
I mean, we just been working hard at practice, feel me? Go day by day. And as we go day by day at practice, I get better at the tackle spot, learning all the plays and stuff like that, getting used to it.
And for you being primarily a defensive player last year, has it been kind of easier to play the defensive side of the ball this year now that you're getting opportunity to play, offensive tackle? You kind of learn the tendencies of your opponents now. Yeah. Has that helped you improve your defensive game?
Yeah, it helped a lot. I know what most tackles are going to do, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I imagine, for you, it was probably one of those adjustments week one and, during practice and everything going into that first game of the year where you're just kind of getting a feel for the position. And now, week 3, you're going up against a commit to the University of Cincinnati. Talk to me about that matchup. What was that experience like for you? And to be honest, from, looking down on it from the booth perspective, you held your own, if not, won that matchup big time. So what was that opportunity like for you? And, what was the message from Coach Hendricks and Coach Russo, for both sides of the ball to kind of figure out, how you were going to attack that matchup?
It was a pretty good matchup. I just felt like I just had to execute for us to win the game, stuff like that. So yeah, it was a pretty good matchup. He was pretty strong, stuff like that.
And, for you guys this year to, you being on the team last year as well, 2 wins in a row now, something you weren't able to accomplish last year. What's that winning feeling like as you go into another week of practice now that you've been able to kind of win as a team 2 consecutive weeks and kind of figure out how to win as a team and be together as a cohesive unit? I brought up to Coach Russo. This year it feels like it's not, just 3 individual phases of football for you guys where it's like, oh, this is the offense, this is the defense, this is special teams. It feels like you guys are all playing together as one collective team. What has practice been like after these wins and kind of keeping that energy fun and loose and not feeling, a bunch of pressure on your shoulders to overdo things and overwork things, knowing that you guys know how to win as a team now?
Practice been great. We got 2 dubs, so we can't get ahead of ourselves. Feel me? We gotta go into the next game with the same type of stuff like we're 0-0. I feel like we just been bonding. Last year, like the bond was there, but it wasn't really there. How it is this year.
And for you, on the defensive side of things, I've asked Xavion, I asked Tayshaun, and I asked Gavin last week, what's it been like playing for Coach Hendricks, to kind of a new message, a breath of fresh air almost, a new perspective on the defensive side of things for you guys? What's it like been playing in his system and just seeing the success you guys have had through 3 weeks now, having only given up 14 points all year, and it was just this past week, and it was only in the first half, I'm sorry. But what's it like been playing for Coach Hendricks?
It's been good. He always puts us in the spot to achieve and win, to always do good. He just puts us in a great position. He makes the scout team do exactly what the other team is doing, so we get a feel of it, and then we can go into the game and dominate.
And then for you, being able to play both sides of the trenches, offensive and defensive line, what are some similarities and some differences in terms of just, communication with your fellow teammates that are playing along the offensive line with you to kind of, get in those protection packages for Danny, set up things for the run game? And then on the defensive side of things, what's that line of communication like for you guys? So, guys are picking up their spots, picking up the blocks that they're supposed to make, and, going and wreak havoc like you guys have been able to do these last 3 weeks.
It's always communication between both, but I feel like more of offensive line because, the defense, they always switch up. So we can always, switch on our blocks and stuff like that and adjust to, different type of blitzes from the linebackers.
And I've brought this up too, I think a number of things switched going into that Bridgeton game with Derek coming back along the defensive line for you guys, bringing in that energy, that leadership that he possesses, and just, his brute strength that he also has and can go out there and be a game wrecker. I think it's opened up things for Tayshaun to kind of be like that quarterback spy and be able to be fluid around the defense. Just talk to me about what this defense, what do you think this defense is capable of this year now that you've seen you guys, 3 weeks in, playing with the tenacity, that fight and that vigor that you guys have to really just be a nasty defense and, make offenses uncomfortable for the most part and getting quarterback sacks, getting touchdowns, 2 straight weeks where you guys have been able to put touchdowns on the board. What's the limit? Is it a sky's the limit mentality for this defense?
Sky's the limit. We have a great defense. Everybody on the defense can make a play. I feel like everybody on the defense could really do something, really make plays out there. And as Derek is a good leader. He's been leading since my freshman year, man. He's just a good leader on the team, good person to have, brings the energy all the time. And, it's like the whole team is like that. We all got that bond.
And, you guys got a big-time matchup against Kingsway this week at home. I'm sure you're excited to be back in front of the home crowd. But Kingsway's a team that's not truly familiar to Vineland as a whole. What are some things, from your offensive perspective, playing that offensive line position that you've picked up on that Kingsway does really well that you're kind of keying in on to really focus, in protection packages for the run and pass game? And then on the defensive side of things, What are some things you're really trying to accomplish to kind of get after their quarterback, cause some havoc, and create even more turnover opportunities for this defense?
Well, on offense, like I'm just trying to get no sacks this game, like no sacks on our QB, stuff like that, so we can open up our passing game, and then we can also do our running game. And for defense, I just shut down like always.
And I've asked, all of our MVPs that have come on the show so far this year. I know you're a student of the game. You're a film junkie. College-wise, NFL-wise, or even your own teammates-wise, past or present, is there anybody you try to, model your game after? Somebody you try to pick things up from and try to do them in practice to implement in a game? Who's that one or two players that you try to model your game after?
To be honest, I just watch football. I just watch college football. I watch the NFL. I just see whatever they doing, try to put it in my game, stuff like that. Yeah. I just watch football.
He's a student of the game. He likes everybody. He pulls from everybody. Emmanuel, you're incredibly talented. You're super fun to watch up from the booth every single Friday night. So keep doing your thing on both sides of the ball, being a force for this Vineland team, and best of luck against Kingsway this week on Friday.
All right, thank you.
Sure. And Emmanuel's he's a student of the game. He likes everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. He's pulling and picking from every single player he can, which is very impressive for somebody at the high school level for sure. But, Coach, going into this matchup against Kingsway, what are some things that you guys as a coaching staff, I know you mentioned towards the top of the show that it's a team you haven't faced, in your tenure as head coach of Vineland High School football. So what are some things that you've picked up on film that they do really well and that you guys are looking to kind of key in on so that way you find the most success in all three phases?
They're very well coached, fundamentally sound. They're aggressive on defense. They're effective on offense, special teams. The kickers kicking the ball down between the 5 and the 10-yard line. It's not going to be easy. They have nice history over there. They've won some sectional championships, a lot of success over there. Friendly with the head coach. Like I said, it's funny, same name as our DC, but he's Coach Hendricks as well, and he's done a great job over there. And it's going to be a battle. It's two very well-coached teams and a lot of talent, plenty of depth. And, just trying to play smart and minimize mistakes like we did last week. The kids are starting to process things better, and it's been helping us win these games. So, it's going to be electric. We're going to honor the Blitz pregame. All the young guys and on the football team and all the young girls on the cheerleading squads will be there. We're going to, like I said, honor them pregame. It's going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff. Back because it's tough for the parents to get kids there by 5:40. No one's even at the game, so I want to make sure there's a nice little crowd to clap it up for those kids. It'll be a special night. I'm going to be in touch with the Vineland Midget Football League, and we're going to honor them most likely at our blackout game against Holy Spirit. So I haven't made definite plans with the Vineland Midget Football League, but we're working on that as well. But we're going to like I said, I've reached out to Coach Basil, and we're looking forward to see those kids out there and their families supporting us as well, and trying to get those kids, over here to Vineland High School in the red and gray, so we can continue to build this program up. And I feel like in year 10, we're just getting warmed up. It takes time. That's what I tell some of these new coaches. The coach at Clearview, I had a nice conversation with him. It's his first year, and he has some adversity he's dealing with, but it's not easy. It takes time, especially in a public school system. It's not the private sector where you can just ask the owner of a business or someone in charge for X, Y, Z. I mean, it's a process. It takes time, so I feel pretty comfortable now in year 10. We've had some ups, we've had some downs, but we're just going to keep working hard. Doing our best here to get these kids in positions to be successful, here at Vineland High, and then, afterwards as well at the college level or trade school, whatever they want to do, military. We've got some kids doing some pretty neat things. So it's fun to be a part of, and love my job. It's can't picture myself being anywhere else. This is where I want to be. Obviously, grew up in Vineland, played here, and now I'm fortunate enough to be the coach. And I want to see these kids put in the right environment, um, right situations, and when they are, you see the result. You've got kids getting scholarships all over the place. Like we mentioned, guys in the pros, and hopefully some more heading that way because they're buying in and they're listening to the coaches and and they're taking advantage of what the school has to offer. So it's exciting times here.
Absolutely. And, before we get into, some of those guys getting scholarships and playing at the pros and scoring a touchdown at the pro level this past weekend, as everybody knows, is a Look Good, Feel Good, Play Good podcast. Coach, home game for the first time since week 0. What are the uniform plans heading into Kingsway?
Last week, our theme was they're going in like gladiators. We had no logos. We have them. I've got plenty of them, but I said, let's go with a different look, hardcore gladiators here going to the Coliseum for that big victory. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that looked pretty neat. It was a change up. We've never done that in a game situation. We've always had our logo on there. So this week, the kids are going to wear their red and gray helmets. They're going to get the Rowdy Rooster put on the helmet. We're going to do that tomorrow. And we're going to rock the black pants with our red and gray numbered jerseys. It's a nice look. It's our school issued jerseys. And they're going to look great. Love those. I like all our uniforms, but it's a good combo. And kids will be ready to go. They like having nice things like we've discussed, and very happy to do my part to make sure they're in something that they're proud of. And like all the sports teams here, I look at all the teams out here. I've seen soccer; their uniforms look great. Field hockey, cross country, tennis. I was watching some tennis yesterday. Our athletic director, Donnie Robbins, is doing a great job. And his secretary, Lori Bings, making sure the kids have, things that they need. That's just basically what every other school has around the area. So they've done a great job. Our Board of Education and Central Administration, along with the Vineland High School administration here, supports us. They couldn't be more supportive. They're always asking me, what can we do to help? I'm sure they're asking the other coaches as well, but it's fun to be a part of a successful team here. And, the school has seen a lot of improvements. We've got a V wing with all kinds of trades they're putting in here now. They just hired a teacher from another school district, Mr. Medio. He's a construction classroom now. It's phenomenal. I've never seen nicer equipment, and I'm glad the kids are getting to learn on that stuff because let's face it, not every kid wants to go to college. Some kids are good with their hands, want to do other jobs. We have a new state-of-the-art greenhouse here. I think it's called Future Farmers of America, which is awesome because all the farming down here. We've got a studio production room with all kinds of Apple equipment. And Mr. Bramante leads a huge car, like a mechanic class that's for kids who want to be mechanics when they grow up. It's phenomenal. It's one of the nicest, cleanest facilities I've ever seen. It looks like it could be at a Mercedes or a BMW dealership, but I always buy American, so I should say Ford or Ram or GMC. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Top-notch places. It's really nice. I'm really impressed with the vocational wing here. We're trying to bring all those trades back because they're not in the area for the kids of Vineland. So Vineland High School stepping up. Board of Education getting these trades back so these kids can do something possibly in their future other than, you know, in college. I heard some, discussion. Maybe they'll even do some plumbing and electrical here too as well. So I'm real happy when the kids get things they deserve. In a public school setting, the money goes toward the kids, and I'm glad to see them spend the money on these kids. I saw pallet loads of Chromebooks. The kids have technology here; they can bring them home. It's great because in the past they've had to like use them in a classroom, then return them. Now they have their own. They sign them in the beginning of the year, and I think they turn them in at the end. So if you take advantage of what the school has to offer, there's a lot of great things, and we focus on the positives here. All the other stuff is irrelevant.
Yeah, you always got to focus on the positives, and we certainly had some positives going on this past weekend in the college ranks of football and the NFL ranks. Let's start off, though, with our guy playing for the Kansas City Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco, coach. He leads the Kansas City Chiefs in rushing in week 1, scores his first NFL touchdown, and then I don't know if a lot of people noticed, but as soon as he threw that ball and all the excitement that he had, you notice a number 15, Patrick Mahomes, runs off to make sure he secures that ball and gets it to the sideline for Isaiah to have his first touchdown ball. I can't even imagine the joy and excitement you had watching that first touchdown for Pop, but I know I had chills seeing him out there and doing the damn thing like he has for so many years for Vineland football, for Rutgers, and now for the Chiefs. He's currently leading an NFL team in rushing after 1 week. Super exciting stuff to see Isaiah. Just immediate success at the NFL level.
Yeah, it's incredible. I saw a post that Coach Basil had about how proud he was of Isaiah as well because he coached him at the Blitz, and I said on the post, commented that if it still feels like yesterday that I was going. It's like my first year on the job, and everyone's telling me I gotta go see this kid that plays for the Blitz, and he's incredible, and this and that, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go see this kid for myself, and I was like, wow, this kid's amazing, and I was one of many trying to get him in their program. I don't think I've ever seen that one school in Philly, St. Joseph, Philly was here. I mean, they were all over wanting Isaiah Pacheco, and rightfully so. He was great in the youth, great for high school. He was incredible. Helped Rutgers have a little more success. I know they're trying to get a little more success there in that program. Help get them back on the map a little bit in the Big Ten and all that. And now he's in an ideal situation with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's got some great blockers for him, a great offensive line, a tight end, quarterback, the skill. They have so many weapons. It's hard to try to take one away because if you take one away, you have 3 or 4 other options. They've ever seen a quarterback throw the ball the way that Mahomes does either. It's like no look passes like you do in basketball. I mean, it's phenomenal. And how cool is that Patrick Mahomes is going to get Isaiah Pacheco his first touchdown ball so he could save it, because I think he was so excited. He just, threw it and he wanted to do a little money sign.
Little money dance.
He's the money man. He's the money man. But, when he scored touchdowns for us, I was hoping he'd do it. He always would put his head down like he was on a 100-yard dash, which it was hilarious too. But he's a charismatic kid, and he's high energy, and he's going to make that program better too. I'll tell you, he gets the guys going. Not only is he a great player, but he's a leader. And the one thing I used to tell some of the scouts, he's an incredible dancer. So some of those moves, when you see him shaking, he just loves dancing. That's what he's doing out there. He's dancing around the defenders, and he's so shifty and fast twitch. It's hard to, tackle him. As you saw when he ran the touchdown, he shook the guy off, but him having that skill set and that size and that speed, he's a special one, and I think he's in a good spot, and I think the coaches there and the program, the Chiefs, are going to be real happy that he's playing for them.
Yeah, it was a big time draft day pickup for them to get Isaiah in the 7th round. Probably going to end up being one of the steals of the draft, as myself and so many of my friends, probably like 4 or 5 years down the line. We look back at drafts all the time to see where guys go, and I'm sure, in a few years' time, Isaiah is going to be one of those guys where everybody's scratching their heads wondering, how did this guy go so late in the 7th round of the 2022 NFL draft? As he now is a member of that Kansas City Chiefs team, and I'm sure he's going to be dancing a lot as he gets into the end zone a lot more. I'm sure Juju Smith-Schuster's going to love dancing with him, as Juju's notorious for dancing on TikTok and everything like that. So Isaiah off to a hot start in his NFL career, and Rutgers off to another big-time win. Tyreem obviously part of that team over there with Rutgers, and they're getting set for a nice time in Philadelphia, playing against Temple at the Link. Tyreem's going to get a chance to play at the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium.
Well, this Vineland Rutgers connection, rewind a little bit. The head coach at the time of Rutgers, Coach Ash, was the head coach for Rutgers, and Pacheco had him for 2 years. And it was the best recruit Coach Ash got. And small world, Coach Ash is with the Oakland Raiders now, Las Vegas Raiders now. And during the draft, even a double eagle when we were there, I was texting Coach Ash, man. I said, you better talk to Josh McDaniels and get this kid. You're not going to see him for the next 5 or 10 years, I'm telling you. And he's like, I'm with you, and so we're texting. I still remain very close and friendly with Coach Ash. He did the best he could with what he had, and I have a lot of respect for him, as I said. But he's with the Raiders. How crazy is that? So he's going to see his number one recruit two times a year, maybe more in the playoffs. And then, Coach Schiano comes in and pops with him. But then, Tyreem was committed to Virginia Tech. And, when Coach Schiano gets in, I was telling Tyreem and his family, hey, I think it's worth a conversation. I'm going to support whatever you want to do. But, Coach Schiano has that experience. He had a lot of success at Rutgers. And, not to take anything away from Coach Ash, but it was tough coming from, the Midwest, Ohio State, where he had a lot of success. And some of those North Jersey people are a little tough to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Scouts love coming to South Jersey. We're a little different down here. I wish they would separate the states like the Carolinas. Just kidding, North Jersey people. But I do know it's a little difficult for some of these scouts to recruit up there, and they do like coming down here because it's a change of pace, and that's why it's called South Jersey. We're almost like people down south. We're a little more laid back and a little more friendly, and even my wife was telling me that my father-in-law, they think they're from Central Jersey. There's no such thing in our book. It's
Agreed.
North or South, but they're from what they call Central Jersey. So when he comes down to visit and come to the games and visits us down in Vineland, he's shocked how people hold the door open for him at Wawa or wherever he goes. And he's like, this is different. Up north, they'll just walk right in and shut the door on your face. It's a little different pace there. They don't have time to hold the door for people. Down here, I love being in South Jersey, love being in Vineland. And like I said before, we focus on the positives, and the other stuff is irrelevant to me. We just keep moving forward. But, Tyreem had another great game. I guess that was a highly competitive game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, to say the least.
6 or something to 7? But, at least Wagner got some money out of the deal. 400-some thousand, I think I saw, or whatever it is.
Hey, it could have been a lot worse. You look at some of the upsets around college football this week. Notre Dame had to pay Marshall $1.25 million to get a nice old butt whooping, and
Appalachian State beats Texas A&M. Who would have thought? And I think there was another one.
Kentucky beat Florida.
Well, no, the coach of Nebraska ended up getting fired.
Yeah,
because they lost to Georgia Southern. I was kidding with Coach Schiano because the rumor is he's going to Nebraska. They want him. And I think I said last week they'll double his pay. I'm sure. Maybe triple it. So hopefully he stays here and likes the Italian food in New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
He's not getting Italian food in Nebraska. You get good steak though.
yeah.
I guess plenty of corn.
They love a side dish in Nebraska. But
Yeah.
yeah, all the upsets in college football this week, Coach. I know a few of my friends are big time into the gambling space and everything, but somebody placed a ticket on one of these online sports books and called the Kentucky over Florida, Appalachian State to win, and Marshall to beat Notre Dame. They placed a $2,500 bet on it. It paid out $1.2 million.
That's insane. Good for that person. Who
Just
wow.
a crazy, just like luck of the draw. Let's bet on the underdogs, and all three of
Wow.
them ended up
Well,
winning.
Well, hopefully, whoever bet that saves the money and doesn't go give it back to the casinos or whatever.
Yeah.
Online, betting sites. So yeah, I'm going to be at Eagle Stadium Saturday too. I'm real happy about that. A friend of mine, Liam Subcheck, gave us access to his box. So I'm bringing some of my coaches with me and booster guys. It's going to be a good day. So we're real excited. We'll be there.
Yeah, it's a big time weekend in Philly. You got Rutgers and Temple at the Link on Saturday. Sunday, the Premier Lacrosse League Championship game is at Subaru Park where the Union play, and then Monday night back at the Link, the Eagles home opener against the Vikings. So big time sports weekend in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it is. Good. And I'm looking forward tonight to seeing Pacheco put on a show for us against the Chargers. So that game should be uninterrupted like the other one was.
Yeah, it's going to be a big-time, high-scoring matchup, interdivision on Thursday night. It's going to be a ton of fun. And then we go right into Friday night. Vineland High School football hosting Kingsway. Coach, it's going to be a fun matchup. You guys going up against the Dragons. And everybody can tune in on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel. Myself and Rich Scarpa up in the booth at Catone Stadium. Like Coach said, 7 o'clock start this week at Catone Stadium. So either tune in on the YouTube page or come in person, come support the Fighting Clan, come support the cheerleaders, the band doing phenomenal stuff to kick off this 2022 season. And for the Dan Russo Show, make sure you guys follow us on social media, the Red and Gray Gridiron Group Facebook page, and you can follow Underground Sports Philadelphia on Twitter and Instagram at Underground PHI, and Vineland Football on Twitter at Vineland FB. And of course, subscribe to the podcast feed if you're a podcast listener on Apple, Spotify. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. It helps more people find the show and helps us, get more people involved with the Dan Russo Show. So share it with your friends and family. And of course, you can watch every single Thursday night. We premiere the Dan Russo Show in video form on the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, come join the comments. You can comment live during the show. We're always in the chat, so you can come and join the discussion. Thursday nights should usually be 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the premiere of the Dan Russo Show each and every week. So subscribe to the YouTube channel over there. And Coach, looking forward to a big-time matchup against Kingsway, a divisional matchup for you guys, and it should be one heck of a game.
Yeah, it will be. Our kids are ready. It'll be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it.
So for Coach Russo, yes, go Vineland. And like I said, tune in on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel to watch the game from home, or come on out to Catone Stadium and enjoy some high-quality football as the Fighting Clan host the Kingsway Dragons. 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. And for Coach Russo, this has been another episode of the Dan Russo Show presented by the Red and Gray Gridiron Group and Underground Sports Philadelphia. And we will see you all